fully done with this dumb mother leftist now. That's me doing my thing, saying friendly reminder that Craig is happy to see large corporations destroy all the wildlife just so long as he gets his shreddies. And his response is, can you say straw man? Please explain how that's a straw man. You already said the only plants you care about are crops. You already said that. So it's not straw man at all. It makes me want to cry, but it's true. As long as you get your shreddies, you don't care about the destruction of the planet because all you care about is your crops. Bees are important. The bees go, and it's ecological disaster. He's gone right back to the beginning, right back to the start, completely ignoring the fact that he himself asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT told him that bees are not the only pollinator. He's still going straight back to ecological disaster. Not a fucking clue how evolution works, not a clue how real life works, not a clue how many other pollinators there are that are just dying to re-establish their place on the hierarchy once all these industrialized fucking genetic bees stop being transported around the country, starving them all out. That is a fact. No, it isn't. You made it up. You just believe it, Craig, you fucking idiot. You've just been told it your whole life and you've never questioned it. And even now, when it is pushed into your face, you look away and refuse to acknowledge it. You refuse to even consider it. Look at you. Look how much you've moved the goalpost. First it was no bees equals no flowers, then it was no bees equals no crops, and now it's back to no bees equals ecological disaster. You're going round and backwards and forwards. Do you really think that no crops would be ecological disaster? Because to be consistent, that is exactly what you're saying. To be fully consistent and suggest that you're not moving the goalpost would be to say that the only flowers you care about are crops, hence that goalpost didn't shift at all, because in your mind it's the same thing. And now all the flowers that are crops are also the only things that make the ecosystem the way it is. Like, that part is definitely not a fact. Regardless, the first part might just be your perception of reality. You might literally live in a house next to a field, and that's the only wildlife you see. You've never seen any flowers on anything other than your tomato plants. Maybe. Maybe you've never seen a fucking wildflower in your life and you've no concept of what's going on. Maybe. I doubt it. What have corporations got to do with this? And as soon as he asked that, man, I'm fully fucking done. I swear to God, I'm so sick of repeating myself, and the motherfucker dares to leave a comment, and the comment says be con, and be con, the words be con, appeared in the video less than 30 seconds before I explained this very point. It was part of the same thought, for fuck's sake. Of course it was, because the idea of the con job, that actually nature is quite happy, and when you bring the bees in, you're the one that's destroying it, not the other fucking way around. It's the flip is a con that is perpetrated by the corporations that own the bee farms. Obviously, follow the fucking money. That's where the profit margin is, you fucking moron. Now, by saying what have corporations got to do with this, not only have you shown your ignorance and your superiority and your mocking attitude that you think that you just know better. You didn't have to watch my video, did you? You scrolled through until the point where you scrolled through until the video feed showed something that to you was original, so you didn't listen to any of my context. You just properly skipped to that point, listened to as little as possible until you could make a stupid derogatory comment that doesn't address a single point that I made. Not one fucking fact that I pointed out, not one point that I made, nothing gets addressed. Because you didn't listen to it, which you prove by saying, what have corporations got to do with this? Man, it's such a stupid question, isn't it? I mean, you can think about it for 2 seconds. 2 fucking seconds, and you're like, well, Oh yeah, I'll bet. Like without even researching it, you can come to the conclusion. Yeah, there would actually be money in owning bees, right? There would probably be money in that. So I bet some people do that as a business, right? And some of the ones that do it as a business, I bet they invest millions into that business, you know. I bet it's some fucking quite big operation, actually. Like, you wouldn't even have to look it up. You could come to that conclusion through sheer common sense if you wanted to. Sheer common sense. Do you genuinely, is your naive version of reality that all the bees are just natural bees? They're all wild bees. Nobody owns any bees. None of that is used for harvesting crops, despite the fact that you yourself asked GPT and ChatGPT told you that bee farms are used to harvest the fucking crops and the orchards. Despite that, let's fucking live in this weird world where bees are all wild and only other companies, like no companies own them at all, right? The only companies that own bees are like beekeepers who have them in the back garden, like, you know, anyone that you might know in your neighbourhood, a hobbyist or whatever, and those particular bees just join in with the local board, like the local community, right? Okay, well, in that world, mate, what the fuck is the problem? And the easy way to refute what I am saying would be clearly to listen to what I'm saying and then type, there are no bee corporations. The only bees that exist are either wild bees or people's hobby bees. They're literally the only bees that exist anywhere, right? None of these corporations exist, and no bees are transported from one place to another. That doesn't happen. Therefore, any bees, although they are not indigenous species, there's a lot of species that aren't indigenous. We're now we travel so much, it would be impossible really to segregate animals. You know, from time to time, these things are going to happen. And so, yeah, they're not indigenous in a lot of places that they are used, but they have, you know, established themselves in the local ecosystem. And so now they're a part of it. Fair enough. I still wouldn't say save the bees because, as I just said, they're not native. And so in the same way that we kill off, like, you know, other invasive species, or we at least get rid of them, we usually leave them because we're normal people, but there are some people whose job it is to go out and get rid of invasive species. We should probably consider that with bees because they are disrupting the local ecosystem at the very least. But at the end of the day, like you say, the stationary, the static, they're not causing any major problems, right? That's not the fucking case. Obviously that's not the case, but I'm sick of it now. I've said all this, I've beaten around the bush so many fucking times. How can you not hear the words? Like, how are you so good at avoiding the points? I've said this before as well. Please prove me wrong. Please address my points and prove me wrong. I'd love to be proven wrong. I don't want to live in a world, I can foresee this future, right? Where, like, the only things that exist are the things that humans themselves force to exist, like through this operation that we're in charge of. Do you know what I mean? There's no wild left. Roads just go everywhere. Everything's probably segmented like fucking New York into like big squares or whatever. Do you know what I mean? The whole fucking, I mean, I can see it, and it's not a problem because I'm not going to live in it, but it's not exactly my idea of utopia. It's not anybody's idea of freedom. I just feel in my heart that you should stop saying save the bees. If you don't want to be a part of this war, don't be a part of this war. If you want to prove me wrong, if you do want to be a part of this war and you want to stand on the side of the people with the big wallets, then do that. Like, but address my points. Don't mock me because, oh, he looks like a crackhead. Oh, he sounds like a crazy man. Yes, I've addressed all that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I look like. It doesn't matter what I sound like. What matters is that I am right. So you say it. If you want it to come from someone who sounds better or looks better, you say it. I don't own these words. I don't own these thoughts. You're welcome to research the subject yourself. And if you actually do care about the environment, as much as you claim to do when you're saying save the bees, which I know you're only saying because you think bees are cute. I know that for a fact. Because there's so many other insects that we need to, like, care about just as much on a par with bees at the very least. So many other insects. There are some insects that are like crazy delicate and they're really rare. And you never hear a word about them because nobody's harvesting them. They're not profitable. But if you actually cared about the environment as much as you claim to do, and you actually think that this destruction that losing the bees would cause, why don't you research that? And rather than just say, oh, it'll devastate the ecosystem, why don't you come to me with facts? If we lost all the bees, if they all died out, then within 2 years this, within 5 years this, within 10 years that. Why does that never happen? Well, I'll tell you why it never happens. Because anyone who goes away and research it runs the fuck away. They never come back. Because it's such a fucking rabbit hole and they're not actually that bothered. But the next time somebody says to them, save the bees, they'll be like, I'm not really sure I should. I don't really care about bees, if I'm honest with you. Can you just leave me out of this one? Right? And that's fine. I don't mind that. Then we're all destined in the same direction to the exact same end goal. It's not going to make a difference because nobody's fighting for this, and why would we? You know what I mean? Why the fuck? But you need to be at least aware of which side of history you want to be seen standing on. Do you want to see your future generations, right? Do you want to, if you could like do some kind of Force Ghost like Star Wars, I think, and go see your like future whatever ancestors are called, but in the future, if you could go see them and they said, look at this fucking corporatized world, like obviously humans must have been created by something because literally everywhere we look, everything is created by something. There is no nature anymore. Do you want to be able to tell them, yeah, well, I fought to save the bees, which are run by the exact corporations that have caused this fucking situation? Or would you rather tell them, well, I know we lost, but I personally was fighting for this stuff called nature, and I wish you could have seen it, man. It was beautiful, and it was chaotic, and it was savage, and it was beautiful. I mean, fuck you. I'll stand alone on the right side of history, right? And my ghost that doesn't exist will appear in 1,000 years and laugh at you all. Because I am right. And like I say, I haven't got kids. I haven't got any future generations. I've made sure of that because I'm mental. So I didn't want to raise a child. I'll tell you another thing. I don't vote either. So if you really hate me and you really hate my opinions, don't worry. I intentionally make sure that my opinions literally only affect my life. You don't even have to listen to this, obviously. You don't have to do anything. I can't force anything on you. And I would never, ever try. I would never try. I don't want to vote. Even when I think I'm right, there's a small part of me that says, yeah, but I'm only right for me. That doesn't mean that I'm the arbiter of good or what is morally just. It's not up to me who we vote for. I don't give a fuck, right? It doesn't affect me, so why would I? Also, they're all lying, so I don't know which one's actually the best one. Because it's all make-believe. You know what I mean? You never know how good a politician is until they actually get in. Where was I going with that? Fucking hate doing that.